What does your crazy neighbor do to be labeled a crazy neighbor? Had severe anger issues and yelled at anything or anyone he didn't like on the street. A few years ago he had a road rage incident, and when he started banging on the other car's windows, the occupants got out and beat him badly. During this he had a heart attack and now barely has enough mobility to walk to the mailbox and back. Also, he doesn't yell anymore. If you are not ready for face punches, you are not ready to punch faces. My sister's neighbor reported my sister to the police because her kids were playing in my sister's garden. Not for the usual reasons, too much noise, etc. Nope, because a volcano in Italy had erupted and the radiation would hurt them. My sister lives in the UK. Well, now, I would have loved to see the police's face when they heard the reason. I would have loved to see the police's face, likely the for duck's sake not another one of these look. He jumped in front of my car while I was driving down the road to yell at me for going through his trash at night. Told him it was probably raccoons. He refuses to believe it to this day. This is my favorite one. Instead of moving his trash or getting locking lids, he stalks your car at night to throw his body in front of it to protest your suspected raccoon-like activities. All the while, the trash pandas are in the background, having a ducking field day with his trash. She has a penchant for going around sticking nails in people's tires at night. This has happened dozens of times to nearly everyone on the street, though she's slowed down since more people started installing video cams and motion sensor lights in their driveways. Years ago we had a guy in our neighborhood like this. He stopped hitting our house when my crazy-ass mother came flying out the house around 3 a.m. with her baseball bat. Fighting fire with fire. And by fire I mean crazy. And by fire I also mean crazy. Pulled us over pretending to be a police officer, saying that we had somehow broken the law whilst pulling out of our driveway and that she was going to call it in. She isn't a cop, lol. Edit, I considered using my dashcam video to actually call it in, but we had just moved in and I wasn't sure if she was the type of crazy to burn the house down or poison my dog. After chatting with the other neighbors, it turns out she's just the wannabe HOA president in a neighborhood with no HOA. So, mostly harmless. Just very annoying. Pretty sure that's a crime. Not only a crime, but a crime that really pisses off police officers. They'll arrest people on the spot for this kind of shit. Impersonating a police officer, and not even in the female body inspector t-shirt kind of way. Someone in my part of town drives an old police Explorer, fully decked out, has Booty Patrol in big letters down both sides, and Unit D69 on the back. My neighbor sits in his yard, hides behind his plants and meows at people who pass by. He is not dangerous at all, but he is not right in the head either. His caretakers are his parents and they seem to be very nice people. His dad once told me he just likes to be a cat and left it at that. I didn't ask any more questions. I would also like to be a cat, so I see no issue with this. It's all fun and games until he poops in the sandbox. Took my parents to court because he lost in our HOA chairman election. Some people just have too much free time. Edit, he actually demanded we pay his legal fees after he lost in court. Twice. The old lady who lived below me left me multiple cryptic letters blaming me for the birds chirping too loudly in the mornings. Not pet birds. The sparrows and shit outside. This went on for months. Edit, I'm flattered by the upvotes and awards. Thank you. To answer the most commonly asked question, yes, for a brief period I had a bird feeder. I took it down after a few months after multiple cryptic letters. Eventually management got involved and took her side even though bird feeders were explicitly allowed per the lease. There were several trees nearby, including one that literally hung onto both her and my balconies. I assure you that birds existed before I set up the feeder, as they continued to exist after. My sister and Bill took over the lease 4 years ago, and they still get the occasional note from Bird Lady. Apartment management has even inspected their unit to verify there's no bird feeder or any other bird luring devices. Edit 2, I found one of the notes, again, your bird dodo is on my railings, bird seeds on my porch chairs, your birds are ruining my night rest, wee hours of the morning, birds in your feeder chirping. Bird feeder was gone at this point. I used to work nights at a hotel and those were always my favorite calls to get. Yes, hello? The crickets outside are really loud and we can't sleep. Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that. I'll just go have a word with them and see what we can do. This happened disturbingly often. I'm still not sure what they actually expected me to do about this at 1 a.m. Yell louder than the crickets so they think twice about calling back. Hey crickets! Y'all need to shut the duck up like right now. People are getting upset about the noise and calling to complain about it. Just bring in some cicadas and they'll cancel out the noise. Called the police on people parked perfectly legal in front of their house, took pictures of my partner's dad just working in the yard, disappeared suddenly without a trace and then suddenly come back home in the dead of night 8 months later. Weirdos. I had a neighbor like that. He'd come over at random hours of the night, pounding on the door and demanding we move our cars, threatening to call the cops on us. So we called the cops, and reported some crazy guy screaming nonsense in our yard and trying to kick the door in. Never saw him again, and the new owners of the house were far more pleasant. We had one a while back that had a meth lab in the home. Crazy fights, yelling at all hours of the night, dude would wander around the hood tweaked out crazy, and once he threw a Molotov cocktail out of the second floor window at another dude who was smashing up his car, screaming, "I'll ducking kill you, motherfucker." Those were interesting times. So, he tried to burn his own car to protect it. Probably didn't care about the car or it was too far gone and wanted to hit the guy. He eats my flowers. In his defense, he told us that he has been doing it for years when he introduced himself after we bought the house. He also brought over frozen cookies in a plastic bag, as a housewarming gift, but wasn't sure what was in them. We share a side yard and as he was talking to us, I noticed his all-brick house was actually roofing shingles, layered to look like brick. It started to register that he may be a little out there. He's a great neighbor. Just an older, eccentric stoner who keeps to himself and eats my flowers. No shame. Comes over to my yard, and eats my lilies raw, or brings scissors and clips the heads to boil and make jam apostrophe. It's crazy to me, but we have embraced it. I planted a couple raspberry, blackberry, and blueberry bushes 3 years ago, when we first moved in, on the side yard we share. As well as a few knockout rose bushes. I told him to help himself to berries roses anytime, especially before the birds do. The bushes have all gone insane and the entire side of my house is now a yearly buffet for my neighbor. Having a decent relationship with a crazy guy I share a property line with is worth some dead-headed flowers. Your neighbor might be part goat. This older lady lives across the street from me and she is obsessed with leaves falling on her lawn. To the point that she will come out of her house and pick up one individual leaf off the grass in the fall, or any other time. She spends hours a day outside with the leaf blower in fall. She will go and knock on other neighbors' doors if she thinks you have too many leaves on your grass. She'll come over into your yard and do it yourself herself if you're not home. What I think is weird is that she's in her 70s, no kids or grandkids living with her, and lives alone in a pretty large 4-bedroom house with an amazing in-ground pool in the backyard, with a slide and diving board and everything. Nobody has used that pool in at least 5 years, yet she opens it up every summer. Somehow she likes my family and has never once yelled at us about our leaves and randomly brings things over like half-eaten gallons of ice cream and asks if we want it because she's not using it. Sounds like she's lonely bird. Next door lady standing on her driveway yelling at me because acorns have fallen from a large oak tree on my property onto said driveway, demanding that I cause the tree to cease and desist from this intentional criminal activity. Fun fact from a law student: trees do not in fact have the legal capacity required for intent. Thank God you're a law student. I was stumped. Had a neighbor who wouldn't let anyone use his driveway because he didn't want it to get dirty. Anyone including himself. He parked on the street outside. If he thought you were having a party, he would drag a bunch of plastic bags full of God knows what to the end of his driveway so no one could turn around it. One time I came home and he was outside hosing it down in the rain. To his credit, I've never seen a cleaner driveway. Our neighbor would leaf blow during a windstorm. It wasn't autumn so there weren't any leaves on the ground, just some other debris. I have a neighbor who I have seen watering his grass during rainstorms on multiple occasions. Sometimes you just want to feel alive, you know.